what I would recommend is when we're having dinner tonight, when all realms of experience are activated, there are thoughts, feelings, sensations, sights, sounds, tastes, textures, and smells. You can't have more than that. You can't have more experience than that. Yes? So when you're having dinner tonight, so for instance now, tasting and smelling, circumstances are relatively peaceful, but take a situation which is more colourful, like having dinner, or going for a walk, or being on the, taking a flight from South Africa, at 30,000 feet, or take a variety and test what is being said in all sorts of different circumstances, pleasant ones, unpleasant ones. Try it in all kinds of circumstances and see at any moment, ask yourself first of all, is awareness present? Is my knowing of my own being, its knowing of itself, veiled in any way whatsoever by the current appearance of the mind, the body, or the world? And if the answer is no, just ask yourself, in this moment, is consciousness present? Is it limited? Is it agitated? Is it growing old? Ask yourself these questions, referring only to your own experience, and discover that awareness is awareness of itself, remains constant throughout all experience.
Are you saying all experiences are equal in terms of the capacity to ask those questions?
You see, but we're not asking different experiences these questions. We're asking awareness these questions. You have to start with this basic understanding that only awareness is aware. Right now, human beings are not aware. Awareness is aware. Human beings don't have awareness from time to time. Awareness has human beings from time to time. That is your experience. It is awareness that is aware. Now, who are you going to ask to find out about the nature of awareness? The one that is aware of it. Who else could tell you anything about awareness? So, to begin with, we create very benign, peaceful circumstances, like this retreat circumstance, in order to explore. In other words, to a certain extent, we turn down the volume on the mind, the body, and the world, so we can give time to this exploration. But don't restrict this exploration to peaceful circumstances. Take this experiment out into the world. Try it when you're walking down the street. Try it when you're sick. Try it when you're busy. Try it when you're traveling. And you'll find that awareness is available 24/7. It never goes out. It is never not present. Never not totally open. At any moment, you can turn to awareness. And I'm caricaturing awareness now. And awareness is totally available. You can do this experiment under all circumstances and conditions.
So I think I heard you at some point say, not recently, practice when it's easier. What I'm hearing you say now is more radical.
Yes, that was said in response to a different question. That was said in, I don't remember saying it, but I can well imagine saying something like that in response to a question such as, at times I feel totally I'm just making up a question now. At times I feel so completely overwhelmed by my experience that such and such. Or at times I feel so deeply depressed that I can't ... So in response to a question like that, I may have said, don't explore your experience in those situations. Wait till experience is relatively undemanding, where it's neutral, where you have free attention and energy, where your attention is not consumed in a feeling or a perception or a thought. When attention is free, then give your attention to yourself. So that I may have said that to somebody who was starting out on this path. So you always have to, we have to understand that some responses are for everyone and some are tailor-made specifically to the person. Not all responses are equally applicable to all of us. In your case, don't just do this exploration in peaceful circumstances. You've spent a great deal of time exploring your experience in neutral, peaceful circumstances. So now, and I know that you're already doing this, take the exploration out into the world, because if peace is only present in peaceful circumstances, in circumstances that are outwardly peaceful, if our inner peace is dependent on peaceful circumstances, then our peace is a fragile peace, which is no peace at all. So yes, take this out into more testing circumstances and see if you can ever have the experience of your self-awareness appearing, moving, changing, being agitated, resisting the present moment, in other words, being unhappy. And if you ask yourself at any moment, what do I, awareness, have to say about the current experience? You'll see that awareness is always silent. It never has a problem with the current situation. I don't mean to imply by that if we find ourselves in a situation that requires a response from the body or the mind, we should just not make that response. Of course, it's legitimate to respond at the appropriate level.
I have tried and I've failed, and it feels that there's some slightly different angle that I'm understanding now, which is more deeply taking a stand as awareness and asking awareness the question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Just go back to the essential understanding. Only awareness is aware. Therefore, if we want to know anything about awareness, we have to ask the one that knows it. That one is awareness itself. Thought does not know awareness. You have to ask yourself. And to ask questions, you have to go there. And of course you understand, when I say to go there, we don't go to a place. If I were to ask you the question now, are you aware? What do you say?
Yes.
How do you know? How do you know that you are aware? You're right, of course. But how do you know that? It is your experience. How do you know that?
Because I am awareness.
Because you are aware that you are aware. When someone asks us the question, are you aware? We pause and say yes, with absolute certainty. Where does that certainty come from? What happens in the pause? We hear the question, are you aware? Then the answer appears, yes. What happens in between the question and the answer?
Awareness.
We go to the experience of being aware. Now when I say we go to the experience, of course that's not accurate. We become aware that we are aware. Now what is it that becomes aware that we are aware? Only awareness could be aware. So right there, between the question, are you aware, and the answer, yes, awareness's awareness of itself shines. It's the most simple, and all 7 billion of us would have to answer yes to that question. As long as we understood the question, we would have to answer yes to it.
So you mentioned vasanas, sort of, that's unhelpful here, just delete.
No, the exploration of vasanas, these deep tendencies in the body-mind, the thoughts and feelings, patterns of acting and relating that come from the sense of separation, these don't disappear when we recognize the true nature of awareness. But in this approach, we explore them after the recognition of our true nature, as opposed to the progressive path, in which the cleansing or the purification of these vasanas is considered a prerequisite to the recognition of our true nature. You have to meditate for 30 years. You're never told the truth about yourself. You go on meditating, you're told all kinds of half-truths about yourself. You always feel unfulfilled as a result because there's no real peace or happiness. Therefore, you keep practicing harder and harder and harder. Somebody came to me a few years ago, someone who'd been a Buddhist monk, lived in a monastery for 10 years, and he was frustrated to the point of anger because he hadn't found what he wanted. He said, I kept going back to my teacher and asking him. And do you know what his teacher said to him? He said, every time I went to him, my teacher just said to me, try harder. Just keep going, doing what you're doing, but try harder. This guy was on the verge of madness. He was angry. That's an extreme case. But in the progressive path, all these vasanas, these thoughts and feelings that betray the presence or on behalf of the presence of a separate self, are considered to be, they are believed to have to be purified before we even hear about the truth of our essential self, let alone begin to explore it. So here, this is the direct path, which means we go directly to the nature of ourself, which is available to everybody 24/7. It's not a great mystery. It doesn't have to be shrouded in esoteric schools. It's just clear. The presence of awareness, it is shining brightly in each of us. Nothing mysterious about it. No preparation is needed for it. Here we go straight there. It's the direct path. We first notice the presence of awareness, then we explore the presence of awareness, and then, as this, what could be called this post-enlightenment sadhana. I don't like the expression enlightenment because it makes it sound like a fabulous event. Enlightenment is just the knowing of our own being as it is. Its knowing of itself.
Permanently?
It's not a question, it doesn't take place in time. Awareness is not in time. So it's after this transparent recognition of our own being that we then attend to or explore thoughts, feelings, activities, behaviors, relationships, and hence the contemplations we do, the yoga exercises. All these are part of a post-enlightenment sadhana. And I feel that our age, our culture and our age, is ripe for the direct path. I'm not criticizing the progressive path. I was on a progressive path myself for many, many years. I loved it and have the highest regard for it. But it came from a different age and a different culture, and was possibly well suited to that age and culture. Things are different now. I think this is the age where the direct path is path for our culture, not our Western culture, our world culture.